This is the Mountain Takes with Isaac. Mountains don't care about your credentials. Mountains don't care about your lies. Mountains only care about what your body can actually do. Today we're looking at two fraudsters who learned this lesson by dying, and two guides who survived watching them. Sit tight, because now I'm going to explain what actually happened. It was May 10, 2014, at Camp 2 on Mount Annapurna at 21,000 feet. Robert and Sarah Hartmann, both 38, were an American married couple from Denver. They had told their expedition operator that they had summited Kilimanjaro, Denali, and Aconcagua. They had submitted climbing resumes with photos and certificates. Their guide was Pemba Sherpa, 36, with 16 years of high-altitude experience and 9 Annapurna summits. Pemba had guided hundreds of climbers, but he had never encountered a couple who had fabricated their entire climbing history. Robert worked in insurance. Sarah worked in marketing. Neither had ever climbed a mountain higher than 14,000 feet. Their Kilimanjaro summit, they had paid guides to carry them most of the way and had summited for approximately 8 minutes before descending. Their Denali summit, they had hired a private guide and had turned around at 17,000 feet, but had submitted false summit photos to the expedition company. Their Aconcagua summit, they had faked the entire climb, paying someone else to summit and submitting their photos. They had been frauds their entire climbing careers, but Annapurna didn't know that. Annapurna would learn soon enough. They arrived at base camp on April 20s with confidence that bordered on delusional. They told other climbers they were seasoned mountaineers. They told Pemba they had summited higher peaks without issue. Pemba had no reason to doubt them. By Camp 1, Pemba noticed that Robert was moving poorly. His breathing was labored. His movements were uncoordinated. But Robert explained this away by saying he had been sick recently and was just catching up. Sarah was moving better, but her oxygen saturation at rest was 68%, concerning. Pemba recommended slowing the pace. Robert said they were experienced and would be fine. Do you understand what was about to happen? Two liars, one mountain, one guide about to pay the price for trusting their lies. By Camp 2 on May 10th, both Robert and Sarah were showing severe signs of altitude sickness. Their oxygen saturations were 62 and 64% respectively. Robert had a severe headache and was vomiting. Sarah was experiencing confusion and disorientation. Pemba recognized the signs. They were both developing high-altitude cerebral edema. He told them they needed to descend immediately. Robert said they just needed rest. Sarah said the symptoms would pass. Pemba said, HACE doesn't pass without descent. He said they were both showing critical signs and needed to go down now. Robert told Pemba he was being overly cautious. Sarah said they had paid good money and weren't turning back. Pemba made a decision. He told them they were descending whether they agreed or not. At 2 p.m. on May 10th, Pemba began physically supporting both Robert and Sarah as they descended from Camp 2. Robert was barely conscious. Sarah was hallucinating. They moved slowly. By 6 p.m., they were only halfway to Camp 1. The sun was setting, temperature was dropping. Pemba realized they wouldn't make Camp 1 before dark. He found a protected rock outcrop and established an emergency shelter. They huddled together as temperatures dropped to minus 30 degrees Celsius. During the night, Robert's condition deteriorated. His breathing became irregular. His body temperature was dropping. By 3 a.m. on May 11th, Robert stopped responding to stimuli. Sarah was still conscious but confused. She kept asking where they were. She kept asking why Robert wasn't moving. At 6:15 a.m. on May 11th, Robert's breathing stopped. He was dead from a combination of HACE, pulmonary edema, and hypothermia. But this is where the story gets darker. Sarah, grief-stricken and disoriented, refused to descend. She said she wanted to stay with Robert. She said she wouldn't leave him alone. Pemba tried to convince her to move. Sarah refused. She said she would rather die on the mountain with her husband than live without him. Pemba had no choice. He physically had to drag Sarah away from Robert's body. Sarah screamed and fought him. At approximately 7 a.m. on May 11th, Pemba got Sarah moving downward. They descended slowly through the morning. By noon, they were at approximately 20,000 feet. Sarah's condition was worsening. Her confusion was increasing. Her body was breaking down from the combination of severe HACE and psychological trauma. At 1:30 p.m. on May 11th, Sarah collapsed and would not move anymore. Pemba tried to help her up. She was too heavy. He tried calling for rescue on his radio. The signal was weak. He waited for approximately 30 minutes, hoping another expedition team would pass. Nobody came. At 2:15 p.m. on May 11th, Sarah's breathing stopped. She was dead from HACE and pulmonary edema. Her body remained on the mountain at approximately 19,800 feet. Pemba descended alone through the afternoon. He reached Camp 1 at 5 p.m. on May 11th. He was traumatized. He had lost both his clients in a matter of 12 hours. The investigation that followed revealed everything: the fabricated resumes, the fake summits, the lies Robert and Sarah had told to book an expedition on Annapurna. They had died because they had lied about who they were, but Pemba survived with the guilt of having trusted them. But here's what makes this story even more disturbing. While Robert and Sarah were dying on Annapurna because of their fraudulent experience claims, another fraudster was preparing to attempt an even more dangerous mountain. A woman who had claimed credentials she didn't possess. A woman who had submitted false summits and fake photographs. A woman who was about to teach the same lesson that Annapurna had just taught Robert and Sarah. Mountains don't care about your lies. Denali was waiting. It was July 3, 2013, at approximately 10,000 feet on Mount Denali in Alaska. Victoria Chen, 42, was a former investment banker from San Francisco. She had told her expedition operator that she had summited Kilimanjaro, Elbrus, Aconcagua, and Everest. She had submitted photographs of herself at summits. Every photo was real, but they weren't her summits. She had purchased photos from online climbers who had summited and had photoshopped herself into them. The Everest photo showed her face edited onto another climber's body. Nobody had noticed. Her guide was Tenzin Sherpa, 33, with 12 years of guiding experience on Alaska mountains. Tenzin didn't suspect anything. Why would he? Climbers submitted credentials for a reason. By 14,000 feet on Denali, Tenzin noticed that Victoria was moving poorly. Her breathing was extremely labored. Her movements were uncoordinated. Tenzin checked her oxygen saturation at rest. It was 70%, dangerously low for that altitude. Tenzin recommended turning around immediately. Victoria said she had paid $8,000 for this expedition and was going to summit. Tenzin said money didn't matter if she was dead. Victoria said she felt fine and would continue. Tenzin documented his concerns. By 16,000 feet, Victoria was vomiting continuously. She was experiencing severe headache and confusion. Tenzin recognized high-altitude cerebral edema developing. He told Victoria they were descending now. Victoria refused. She said she had claimed the Everest summit publicly and needed to summit Denali to justify that claim. This was the moment Tenzin realized the truth. Victoria was a fraud. She had fabricated her credentials and was now desperate to summit Denali to validate her lies. Do you see the pattern? A fraudster, a guide, a mountain that only cares about truth. At 2 p.m. on July 3rd, Tenzin physically started supporting Victoria's descent. She was barely conscious. By 5 p.m., they were at approximately 15,000 feet. Victoria had stopped responding to commands. Her body was in complete system failure. At 5:45 p.m., on a section of steep terrain covered in ice, Victoria's foot slipped. She fell approximately 30 meters down a steep slope. The impact injuries were catastrophic. She was unconscious immediately. She was dead within minutes from head trauma and internal injuries. Tenzin descended alone and reached base camp by 8 p.m. on July 3rd. The investigation revealed Victoria's fabricated credentials. She had died because she was trying to cover up her lies. She had died trying to summit Denali so nobody would question her fake Everest summit. She had died because she couldn't accept the consequence of her fraud, that she actually wasn't an experienced climber. I'm Isaac from the Mountain Takes. Robert and Sarah Hartmann died on Annapurna because they lied about their experience. Victoria Chen died on Denali for the exact same reason. 2 different mountains, 2 different guides, 2 different years. Same lesson. Mountains don't care about your credentials. Mountains only care about what your body can do. The guides survived. The fraudsters died. And somewhere on Annapurna, Robert's body still remains where Pemba had to leave him. A permanent reminder of what happens when you bring lies to mountains.
Wow.